Good evening, everybody. About 11:30 at night, and welcome to DIY with Jerry's Garage. Uh, as I said on my last video, I ordered some remote controls for a couple of fans. The one above me here, which is a low-profile fan, which means it's closer to the ceiling, and the other one that I worked on the last time. I've decided to use the one in the kitchen that's a low profile so that it's a little bit different, okay, and a little bit more work is involved, all right, because in the end, got to take the blades off along with the globes and everything else, so you want to make sure that, you get that right. And I like to do my stuff step by step. I see a lot of videos out there that guys, they skip steps, and which should be, in a lot of cases, if you're not sure how to take a fan apart, they're, kind of obvious. However, for the newcomer, who I'm trying to target, it may not be apparent. So I take the extra time and explain stuff and try to show it and that kind of thing. So anyway, we're going to put a remote control unit in this fan for this video, and then I'll do the other one, which is not as work intensive. All right, and it's really not that much. You just, got to take your time like anything else. All right. Now, I did buy, and they have come here. The reason I didn't do this yesterday was because I didn't have any batteries for them. And they're made in China, like everything else, so they didn't come with batteries. I have the batteries now, so I can actually test the fan when we're done. And, frankly, as we go along. So, let me show you the remote that I bought. All right, so this is the remote unit. As you can see, we have two wires coming out of here, 4 coming out of here. This long one is the actual antenna. So these are for the actual fan power, the light power, and the actual power going into the box. And these are for something else that I will show you in a minute. Okay, this comes with the remote. All right, right here. If you're looking for it, I bought these off Amazon for 2 of them for like 20 bucks. Okay, and it comes with a, you can hang this and slide that in there. Most remote units, for like this kind of stuff, they all come with that. And also it comes with some connectors and some screws and anchors if you need them. And they are for, actually, it comes with this. This is from the other one. But you can see here, I don't know. Yeah, all right. So where I'm going to put my remotes, I don't need the anchors. I don't even need those screws. I'll use something different. Okay. Many times, depending on where you want your remote, okay, you don't have to use the screws that come with it. You don't have to use those things. However, use as much of it as possible because it come with it. Okay. And that's that. I just scratched my chest, so you probably heard that. No, I don't have fleas. Although, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so this here, I'll show you, is the fan. Okay. And as you can see, this cowling here, up here, hold on, right here, comes down and is just above the blades, which is not enough room. Okay. It's not near enough room to get everything done in there, putting the wires together and then getting it up in there for it to stay. So these blades have to come off. Again, these globes and bulbs have to come out. Okay. For the blades, you get to the blades. You don't really need to get to the blades, but seems how we're taking off the cowling. we need to take the blades off. So first thing we'll do is we'll take off the globes and the bulbs and the globes, and we need to get up into where the ceiling is why. Okay, it's important because that's where it goes and that's where it hooks up to. All right, so keep that in mind. Also, as always, when you take the globes off, it's a great time to clean them. So let me get the globes all off and in the sink in the water, and then we'll come right back. Now, we covered in my last video how to put the switch in, a new fan switch in. We also said it's, we should clean the blades at least once a month. Okay, there is maintenance in ceiling fans. Okay, and it's important that we do that, because nothing good can come from dirty fan blades. Also, if you want, you clean your globes. They're not that hard to take off and all that kind of thing. So, it's good to, and also the globes. They're held in with three machine screws here. Okay, all of them. And usually that's on every light you come to. Every once in a while, I want to reach up there and make sure they're all not overly tight, but nice and snug, because they will come undone after a while. Okay, they will. And, same thing with the fan blades. Do this a little bit. Just shake them a little and make sure that they're all tight, because that is exceedingly important. If one of those screws fall out, your whole fan is going to go all wonky and very fast, and you're going to break something. In a very extreme thing, it could actually fly off. And again, very extreme. I've never heard of that actually happening because of that, but your fan is going to be doing this because the blades are now uneven and not, on. Okay? And so a remote is actually good for that sort of thing. As you're hitting the floor, you can just hit the remote and it'll slow down. There you go. Anyway, we're going to go get my drill so I can take the blades off. However, if you're not good with a drill or don't have a lot of experience with a drill, probably not a good idea to use that. You'll need either, more than likely, a Phillips head screwdriver that fits the screw. In these particular ones, that ain't hard to find. You can get it anywhere. Okay. It's good to have a set of screwdrivers anyway. All right. For that, both flathead and Phillips head. Okay. Me, I've been using the drill for years, so I understand how to control it. I understand how to use it. Okay. So I can, I can do that. If you don't have that kind of experience, don't. Just use a regular screwdriver. Yes, it will take longer. But in the end, these screws are cheap Chinese pot metal. It takes nothing to strip out the heads, the top where the screwdriver goes in, or the threads, either on the screw or in the hole the screw goes in. It takes nothing. And once that happens, you got major problems, okay? Because you are not going to get another screw in there correctly, okay? Unless you get incredibly lucky. Even if you go buy a set of fan blade screws, okay, you're not going to get the new one in there. That way, as you're doing it, if you feel it stop, bring it back, go forward. Bring it back, go forward. And if it still is stopping after you do that 2 or 3 times, you need to take the screw out and you need to clean the inside. Make sure the threads on the actual screw are not don't have something stuck up in them and everything. Clean them. Okay, use like a tiny bottle brush or something like that to get up into that hole and get it cleaned out. Then try it again. All right. Listen, if you still have a problem, try a different screw. Okay, especially if it's a used fan. Okay, and then figure out which hole the original screw you were using goes in, because more than likely it's slightly stripped and it only goes in that hole. Okay, very important. You have to have both screws. You cannot go without both screws. If you do, your fan is not going to work more than about, I don't know, 3 seconds before that fan blade goes off kilter, and you've got a death trap coming from your ceiling. True story. So I'm going to take the rest of these off. Also, while they're down, great time to clean them. It's easy. Okay, damp cloth, wrung out as much as humanly possible, and then dried off with either paper towels or another dry cloth. Okay, you don't want to leave wet on these. If you're doing it while it's still attached to the ceiling and you turn it off, then as soon as you're done, turn it back on. That will dry it within seconds. But make sure you get the excess water off. And quite frankly, the wet rag should be wrung out 5 or 6 times before you use it. Okay, and you will feel the difference of the air coming down on you, depending on the size of the fan. Okay, if you got one of them little, $35 fans, if the blades are warped from, moisture, okay, it's not going to work that well, all right? But, this thing here is a good fan. I think it's a Hunter, and it works beautifully, all right? So just saying that, all right? If you get a brand new one, it's going to work wonderfully, but you got to keep that stuff clean. Okay, pretty much everything you have has some kind of maintenance on it. All right, and in this case, it's not much, just a little cleaning. All right, now I'm gonna take the rest of these off, and we're gonna go on to the next step. Okay, as you can see, this is the fan blade. All right, there are 2 screws holding it in. Sometimes I've seen 3. Be like one there, and then one back here. This particular one, and most of them have 2. It's very important you don't lose these screws. Okay, very, very important, because you need them. These are not something you can chintz on. You can't tighten down one side as hard as humanly possible to keep it in place without those 2 screws. So that's very important. Now, what I can tell you is I'm using a drill. All right, I do want to show you one thing on here. I'm taking these off on how to do it. Now I got this drill. It's one of mine. I got 3 of them. Okay. I take these tips like this. Okay, they just pull out of here. All right, you can buy them pretty much Home Depot anywhere. Okay. And I take a pretty strong magnet and I lace them on there. They become magnetized somewhat by that, which is more than enough for what we need here. So you can take the first one out and it'll stick to this, won't drop on the floor, and then you spend 3 hours trying to find it. Okay? Little tip. All right, also, obviously, this ain't going to fall down. Let me fix the camera. Okay, now I got these mostly off. Okay, this is not going to fall down with only 1 screw in it. Okay, so what I do for the second screw, because once I take the second screw off, what's going to happen here is the blade's coming off. And if that comes off and the screw gets lost, you got problems. So I hold the blade, okay, and, either with your screwdriver or whatever, pull the entire thing down so that the screw does not fall out. And then you put it over here. I got my table here in the kitchen, and they're all in the same place. Okay, you can also, to get a screwdriver or a drill in, you can move the blades around without it being on to be able to fit a screwdriver or your drill, whatever, up in there. Okay, again, if you don't have a lot of experience with drills, I would very much suggest use a screwdriver, especially when putting them back in. Okay, it's one thing to strip out the top of the screw right there, as you can see, which takes nothing, by the way. Okay, it's another thing to strip out the hole or the threads on the screw. Okay, there you go. Now they're all off. This particular fan has 2 screws up here. One goes in this slot and you turn it on both sides. Okay, this one over here has to come out. This one just has to be a little loose and you can turn it. Okay, and same thing on the other side. Only one has to come out. Now chances are, I forgot about this. This is going to need a screwdriver. My drill probably will not fit in the correct position. to take that out. So this is either, as you can see, the screw is a flathead or a Phillips head. Any chance you get, use a Phillips head. Okay, and do it carefully. Do it carefully. Okay? So I'm going to do that now. I got to probably go get a screwdriver, and then that will be off. Okay, so these are the wires coming out. That yellow wire right there is coming out of the ceiling. This is actually supposed to come out of this hole up here, but this is where the stud was, and for some reason that's where the wire was. There used to be just a light here. It was here when we got here. I don't know why that is. I could have fixed it. I didn't. I don't care. All right, plenty of room in this cowling for everything to not be all crunched up. The remote at some point at the end has to end up in here. Now in this particular one, I could let it hang down in here. You can see there's plenty of room. But then you take a chance, that's the fan mower. You don't want anything rubbing up against that. You know, so as you can hear, it's because this is off. So you want to get your cowling off as best you can so you got room to work. Okay, now most of these come with directions. And they'll have a picture or something on them like these here, okay? And it'll give, you know, the directions on the remote and what to do with that and everything else. This particular one has actually a timer on it and all kinds of crap. All right, but it will tell you, excuse me, how to hook this up, all right? Now, a lot of these directions coming from China, they either spell words wrong or, you know, we've all seen this, okay? You know, and it's very broken English or it's very bland directions, okay? Now, if you look at this remote unit here, all these wires are marked. That's what that white thing is there. For this particular, the blue wire has is for the lights, okay? This white wire is for the motor. That would be the fan itself. And this black wire is also for the motor. This obviously is the antenna. This is the power wire. And this is the neutral wire. Okay? So these three get hooked up, all right, to the fan wires, the actual fan wires. These two get hooked up to the wires coming out of your, hopefully, ceiling, because I think it'd be weird to have a ceiling fan on the wall. Okay? Most of the time, most ceiling fans have the same color wires. Okay, so, but this red is like your car. The red cable on your battery is the power. This would be kind of like the ground. Okay, but it's more of a neutral. All right, there is no actual ground wire on this because the fan is already grounded with the green wire you see up there. Okay, and the wire coming out of the wall or your ceiling or whatever else you're doing that has no, usually has no, you know, no color, it's just a bare wire, is your ground wire. It plugs, switches, all that. And it goes on the green thing at the bottom of the switch or the plug. Okay, that's your ground wire. All right, this here, they do a fair job with this. They do. Okay, so we are going to actually, I'm going to take you up there to show you where you got to work, where this needs to end up being, and then I'm going to put it in. All right, so that's what we're going to do right now after I put all this crap down. And apparently this table over I'm working off of is actually attached to the wall the way we put it in, and it's, you know, right in the way, which is nice. Yeah, it's good. Anyway, I'm going to take you up there and show you. Okay, so it's all hooked up. Now, as you can see, that's the remote box. Okay, that's the transmitter for the remote. Okay, it's supposed to go in here. There's not enough room for it. So I zip tied it up here. Okay, plenty of room. Make sure it's far enough back from these screws so that the cowling fits back on. Then I hooked up all my fan wires, okay, and I zip tied them together, okay. Now on the zip tie on these, you don't have to ape it on there, just strong enough to keep them together. Now this one I kind of aped on because I want it to stay so it's nice and good. You're not going to hurt it, but them wires you can't hurt because they're cheap Chinese wires. And I stuffed everything in here except my antenna, which is this wire up here. And I slid it through a hole. I don't know if you can even see it up in there, but through here and out here, okay? So that it's free and able to, you know, get a signal, okay? Also, when you're putting the wires together, you want to make sure that when you're twisting the wires together, that they're even, with the same amount of casing taken off. So that when you put it in and put your wire nut on there, which is what those orange things are called, okay, there's none hanging out the bottom. If you have that, take some electrical tape, another good thing to have around the house, all right, and tape it up. Or, and for this, you have to turn off the power, okay? Have no choice, all right, because this can be dangerous with the power on. You can snip the longer of the two. Now, the wires that came with the remote, they're pre-snipped and you just pull the casing right off. Okay, so you want it to be the same size. What I do, because there's single strand wire in your house, which means it's just one wire in each casing. This other stuff, the remote wiring, is multi-strand. There's a bunch of tiny little copper wires, all right? So what I do is for the power, 2 power wires, all right, I will put the multi-strand into the cap and then screw the cap onto the, you know, the single strand one coming out of the ceiling, all right. You want to make sure your wires are tucked nicely, okay, and out of the way of the fan motor, okay, because if they rub long enough, they're going to rub the casing right off it, and you're going to have, in an extreme circumstance, you can have a fire. More than likely what it'll do is you'll see, maybe possibly see a flash, maybe not, but all of a sudden power in your house will go out because it tripped the breaker. Now, extremely, like I said, you could start a fire. More than likely, though, you will burn up that unit that I just got done putting in, all right? And that will happen. And then you got to buy a new one. Okay, no point in that. Always hook up the end that you hook the fan wires to first, and then hook up the power wires. Okay, one at a time, keeping them as you can bend them apart, bend them up, just keep them away from each other, because if you touch both of them coming out of the ceiling, you're going to get a shock. You're not going to get hurt. You're going to get scared for a second. It doesn't actually hurt. You don't realize that at first. You think you're hurt, and then you realize you're not. But it's a weird feeling, and nobody, you don't really need that, right? Okay? And as I said, you can always turn the power off to this particular thing, or it's usually a group of things, okay? And do it that way. Sometimes you're going to need a flashlight with that, because also, that's how that goes. Also, when you zip tie anything, always cut the ends of the zip ties off, especially in something like this. Okay, if you don't feel comfortable doing this, go get you, I guess a licensed professional before all the OSHA experts come out at me. You can do that. The object of this particular video is to show you exactly how to do it. It's simple. Sometimes it requires a little thinking, and as you can see here, it requires some different type of engineering there, okay, because it didn't fit where it's supposed to go. And it's just that simple, and I'm having this on remote whether it likes it or not. I have already tested it. It does work, okay, does work, and I will show you when I get the blades back on. I just have to clean them off right now, and I'll turn it on. I'm not going to be putting the globes on until they're clean and dry, and then obviously I'll throw a light bulb in there just to show you the light works, okay? And then I go over and do the one over my chair that I had done on the fan switch video, the last one I did. And I'll have all three of these fans I have out here on remote. All the remotes will be next to my chair, because I am famous for walking under this one and forgetting to turn it on in the morning or turn it off at night. Okay, if I can get in the habit of turning them off with the remote, they all get turned off at night, so they're not running for no reason. Okay, and also in the morning, you know, whenever I sit down in the morning or whatever, I turn them on, because they do absolutely keep these couple of few rooms in the hallway back there and this little hallway here, they keep them cool. All right, it helps the air conditioning a ton. All right, fans can be your best friend. Fans can be your worst enemy too, but there's no need for it. I picked this fan up. I didn't tell anybody. I think it was $7 or $10. $10. The one outside was $7. Okay, at a thrift store. It was in the box. It had been used, obviously, but everything was there. All the hardware, everything. I brought it home. I put it up there. I hooked up the power wires, and hey, it worked. And it's been working ever since. And this fan's on all day, every day, into the night. All right? You don't have to go spend $300 on a fan if you're patient. You need one today, then you got to go spend some money. But if you're patient, you will find ceiling fans. People, for the dumbest reasons, get rid of them. And if it's a simple fix, it's a simple fix. Now, sometimes, you know, the motor might burn out or something, whatever. But, you know, what are you losing if you spend $5 or $10 on something like that? Yeah, you're losing your $5 or $10, but you know what? You have now extra blades for another ceiling fan. You may have some extra screws you need. You may have a lot of stuff. And, you know, when you are doing home improvement, there's stuff you need. And if you already have it, you ain't got to spend money on it. It's beautiful. All right. Anyway, I will show you what it looks like in the end, and it's working and everything. However, I will say, I'm going to just speed through that real quick. And I will say thank you for watching. Please like and share and subscribe. If you want to buy me a cup of coffee or send me something, money, whatever, that's up to you. It's not necessary, but that's up to you. I would really like to grow this channel. I would. So please like, share, and, you know, I don't know, subscribe, I guess, if you find these of any value whatsoever. Y'all have a great night, guys. Take care. Bye. Okay, I'm going to show you one thing I forgot about this going back on. This blade. Now, there is no set order or anything. They all go, they're interchangeable. All right. So what I do is I put the screw in the hole. I attach my drill to it. Make sure it's going in the right direction. Yep. And then I reach up here and I find the hole. And slowly but surely put that up there. You don't lose the screw that way. Now the second one you put in, you have to pretty much, you know, be careful. You can also move this to where it's advantageous for you to get both screws in. Okay, it's, you know, no matter how many of them you have, you could do it all from one position, in other words. Okay, so there's that.